Hi, this is Kevin Deal. Today we're going to take a look at the PrimaLuna ProLogue Premium Integrated Amplifier. I want to say something about this amp and why it's so legendary. There's a review that came out on a subsequent product, and one of Stereophile's top reviewers, Robert Deutsch, had made mention of this amp. And this is what he had said. He reviewed this amp back in 2012, and since that time he's kept it in his system as his reference. And he said, ever since I reviewed PrimaLuna's ProLogue Premium for the June 2012 issue, it has been the model I turned to when I wanted a moderately priced integrated amplifier to try with a new speaker. It never disappointed me and never seemed outclassed, even when the speaker was the Martin Logan Montes, which is $10,000. At $23.99, the ProLogue Premium, to me, represents the sweet spot for systems in the range of $4,000 to $10,000 or higher. That's a big deal. In fact, it was such a big deal, they awarded this amplifier a Class A rating. Herb Reichert has been using the Power Amp version, and he said the same thing when he reviewed it. He said, Class A sound at a Class C price. How can it be so special? Let's look. 4 EL34s running super easy to extend tube life. Gives you 36 watts per channel. That is a ton of power. Why? Because of bandwidth. PrimaLuna winds their own output transformers in-house. Power does not mean a thing. You need to understand that. Bandwidth is the key to bottom end and to top end extension. You can have 500 watts per channel. If the output transformers don't deliver bandwidth, you're not going to get any bottom end. It uses 12 AU7s in the front end. Why is that? Because 6H30s sound thin and sound hi-fi-ish. 12 AU7s there's more 12 AU7s being made around the world than any other part. The beauty of that is this. If you want to fine-tune the sound a little bit or have some fun, you can do something called tube rolling. And there's a multitude of them being made today. Also, in the world of new old stock tubes, there are tons of 12 AU7s. So if you have a pair of quads now and you get a pair of focals and you want to adjust the top end, you can do that. I mean, it's super easy and it's a lot of fun. Let's look inside. One of the things that PrimaLuna wants to do is make sure their amps are super quiet, and they've achieved that in a few ways. First of all, the power transformer. PrimaLuna only uses toroidal power transformers. Toroids are 5 or 6 times more expensive than regular C-core or EI-core transformers. But there's a reason to spend that money. They don't radiate EMI and junk into all the circuitry in the amplifier. It drops the noise floor. And to make sure that it's as quiet as can be, the transformers are potted. That means that they are placed into a special metal can and they're sealed in a non-microphonic epoxy resin that protects the part from the elements, and it keeps the transformer from radiating any hum into the atmosphere. It's all about dropping the noise floor. Something else they did to keep it quiet is, instead of a selector switch up in the front with wires running into the back, selector switches are not good. They're never your friend because they don't turn off the other inputs completely. People that live in San Francisco and New York, they'll even tell you, they'll pick up radio stations through their unused inputs. So how do we solve that? There's a controller board mounted in the front, and it operates relays in the back. The relays are hermetically sealed, made in Japan by a division of Fujitsu. So when you select CD, this relay closes, boom, giving you the best contact possible, and the signal path is almost non-existent, super short. All the other relays are left open. So for that reason, there's no way for all the junk and the noise to get in. And I'm not talking about big noise. I'm talking about that vague smearing that can occur and eliminate the sense of space and make music sound flat. This is the adaptive auto bias board. Everybody talks about the convenience. It is not just about convenience. This is about performance because PrimaLuna invented adaptive auto bias in 2003. Other manufacturers are attempting to do so. They're not going to do it like PrimaLuna does. Why? Well, first of all, it's completely passive. It's not in the signal path. There's no downside to it. It reduces distortion. See, what happens is when tubes get old and you start to turn up the music, one of them's going to be soft. Distortion's going to go up. But with adaptive auto bias, the tube is being monitored and it's fine-tuned constantly to do the very, very best job that it can. So it's really important. In fact, the measurements bear it out. It reduces distortion by over 50%. The amplifier breathes, especially when you turn it up. Now, it's also about protection. With other amplifiers, if you have a tube short, boop, you can lose a cathode or a screen resistor, and then that means a trip to the UPS counter or the FedEx counter and annoyed spouses and all the things that go with it. So, what happens is if a tube fails, there's a relay on the adaptive auto bias board that instantly turns off the B+. Now the amplifier is in protection mode. There's a little red LED next to each power tube that tells you which tube has failed. You simply pop in another tube, turn the amp on, and go. In fact, that doesn't even have to be the right tube. Adaptive auto bias is so smart, you can run 4 different power tubes at once. We've done it at shows. We've put in a 6L6, EL34, KT120, and a KT150, and it will make them all play nicely in the sandbox together. But to make sure that the performance is the best it can be, there's a tube selector switch on the side. The EL34 setting is for smaller dissipation tubes. KT88, KT120 setting is for all the larger tubes, all the way up to KT150s. Now let's talk about the volume control. Everybody seems to be going to chips, and it's all about the money. These manufacturers, they shave down costs to nickels and dimes, and it's really sad because chips sound like chips. They sound flat, they have a slight electronic sheen to them. I can see why they want to save the money, but if you're paying so much money, this is high-end audio. You know, the difference between a $2 chip and a $50 potentiometer should not come into play, but it does. PrimaLuna uses the gold standard. This is a motorized Alps blue velvet potentiometer made in Japan. It's the gold standard because it tracks perfectly, so you get a perfect stereo image. It stays quiet, and it lasts. Lastly, I want to mention something. Point-to-point wiring. That is why PrimaLuna products will last forever. Very few companies do it. In fact, almost nobody does it. Atmosphere is the only US company I can think of that does it. And everybody else, this is what they're doing. They mount tube sockets onto a board. They get them wave soldered by contract factories overseas. It's a real, I don't know, it's really sad that that's the way things are made nowadays. This amplifier is built to last forever. Point-to-point wiring sounds better. It has more soul. You don't have PCBs cracking and being patched and jumpers put on them. That's it. The ProLogue Premium. Don't buy something that's good. Buy something that is iconic, that is built to last a lifetime. Thanks.